Why being single in your later years is the greatest gift you'll ever give yourself. There comes a time in life when the noise fades, and what remains is the truth you can no longer ignore. In youth, we are taught to chase love, to search endlessly for someone to complete us, to believe that happiness must be tied to another person's presence. But as the years pass, as wrinkles carve their gentle stories on our skin, and as our hearts gather both scars and wisdom, we begin to see something different. We realize that companionship is not always peace, that love, when forced, can become a burden heavier than loneliness itself, and that sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself in your later years is the freedom of standing alone. Being single as you age is not a tragedy. It is a victory. It is a declaration that your worth is not dependent on whether someone wakes up beside you. It is the wisdom of choosing serenity over sacrifice, self-respect over compromise, and freedom over chains disguised as love. It's the realization that solitude is not emptiness, but sacred space, space where you can finally breathe, rest, and live as you desire. Too many elders in America live silently in unhappy partnerships, weighed down by resentment, drained by arguments, and exhausted from carrying someone else's battles. Yet those who stand single often shine with a quiet strength. They spend mornings in peace, evenings in reflection, and nights in gratitude, unshaken by the storms of another person's moods. They may not have a partner, but they have something far more precious: peace of mind. This is not about bitterness. This is about clarity, about understanding that as you age, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to chase affection, nor endure what steals your joy. You have already lived, loved, and given much. Now these later years belong to you, to your laughter, to your quiet mornings, to your hobbies, to your faith, to your grandchildren, to your community, and most importantly, to your heart. So tonight, let's talk about why it is often better, far better, to be single than to have a partner as you age. Let's talk about the freedom, the dignity, and the joy that comes when you finally stop asking someone else to complete you and instead realize that you were whole all along. Number 1. The freedom of your own choices. There is a sacred kind of freedom that comes when you reach an age where you no longer need to answer to anyone but yourself. For much of life, you compromise where to live, what to eat, how to spend the holidays, when to sleep, even the tone of your voice in the morning. Partnerships can bring companionship, yes, but they can also bring endless negotiation, and negotiation after years of it becomes exhausting. Being single as you grow older is a gift because your days become your own. You wake up when your body tells you to, not when someone else's alarm insists. You eat the breakfast you enjoy without hearing criticism about cholesterol, sugar, or portion sizes. You decorate your home to your liking, with colors, photos, and memories that soothe your soul. And when you decide to travel, to visit family, or to spend a quiet weekend at home, the choice is fully yours. There's no longer that weight of asking permission or fearing disapproval. You are free to follow your rhythm, whether that means taking long walks at sunrise, joining a new community group, or simply sitting in silence without explanation. For seniors in America, this freedom is a treasure, especially after a lifetime of carrying responsibilities, raising children, supporting families, sacrificing for others. Retirement years, or simply later years, are not meant to be another chapter of compromise. They are meant to be your time. And here's the truth. When you are single, no one can dictate your happiness. You are not waiting on someone else's mood to determine the tone of your day. You are not forced into arguments that drain your energy. You don't live with the silent tension that so often seeps into long-term relationships. Instead, your life is an open canvas. Every brushstroke is yours, every color chosen by your hand. The freedom of your own choices is not about selfishness. It is about dignity. You have earned the right to live without being shackled by someone else's expectations. You have earned the right to finally say yes to yourself without hesitation. And in that freedom, you may discover that life feels lighter, simpler, and more beautiful than you imagined. Number 2, protecting your peace of mind. There is nothing more valuable in later life than peace of mind. It is more precious than money, more healing than medicine, more comforting than companionship that comes at too high a cost. Many seniors carry heavy burdens in relationships that were supposed to bring joy, but instead brought endless conflict. Constant arguments, criticism, or even just the coldness of silence. It all chips away at the soul. Being single allows you to guard your peace like a fortress. When you close your door at night, the only energy in your home is your own. You don't brace yourself for tension. You don't prepare for harsh words, and you don't feel that anxious knot in your chest wondering what mood your partner will be in today. Instead, you sink into the quiet, the calm, and the safety of solitude. For older Americans especially, mental health is as important as physical health. Stress accelerates aging. Conflict raises blood pressure, strains the heart, and steals sleep. Arguments that used to feel survivable in youth now weigh heavier, dragging down the spirit and the body alike. And for what? For the illusion that being partnered is always better than being alone. The truth is, many who remain single live longer and live better precisely because they protect their peace of mind. Peace gives you room to heal from the past. It gives you space to reflect on your life without interruption. It allows you to sit with your memories, honor them, and still find joy in the present moment. Peace is the sound of your own breath in the early morning light. It is the comfort of knowing that no one will disturb your rest. It is the calm of sitting by the window with a cup of tea, feeling grateful, unbothered, and whole. And here is the wisdom that comes only with age. Peace is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the foundation of happiness. Without it, no amount of companionship can save you. With it, even solitude becomes rich and fulfilling. When you choose singleness, you are not rejecting love. You are protecting your soul. You are saying, I choose serenity over struggle. I choose calm over chaos. I choose myself. And in that choice there is power. In that choice there is freedom. In that choice there is the kind of deep, enduring peace that allows you to savor every sunset, every quiet moment, and every day you are blessed to wake up alive. Number 3, reclaiming time for self-discovery. When you are young, life often belongs to everyone else. You give your time to raising children, building a career, tending to a marriage, or caring for family. Your days are filled with obligations. Someone always needs you, always calls your name, always expects your energy. And while those responsibilities shape you, they also leave little room for you to simply be yourself. But aging brings a different kind of gift. The gift of rediscovering who you are when the noise quiets. And if you are single, that rediscovery is even more powerful. Because for the first time in perhaps decades, you have the chance to ask yourself, what do I love? What makes me feel alive? What dreams have I carried quietly, waiting for the right time? Being single in your later years allows you to reclaim your hours and pour them into the things you always placed on hold. That hobby you left behind, pick it up again. The book you always wanted to write, begin today. The music, the art, the gardening, the cooking, the volunteering, whatever stirs your spirit, now there is nothing and no one to hold you back. Many seniors in America discover that solitude is not emptiness, but possibility. The time once spent compromising with a partner is now invested into personal growth. You can join classes, meet like-minded people, or simply spend time in reflection, journaling about your journey and leaving a record of wisdom for those who come after you. Self-discovery is not about being selfish. It is about finally giving yourself the attention you've long deserved. It is about tending to the soul, not just surviving each day. When you are single, you don't need to ask for someone else's approval to pursue your passions. You don't need to shrink your joy to make someone else comfortable. You are free to expand, to grow, to rediscover the layers of yourself that were hidden beneath duty and compromise. And here's the truth. Even in your 70s, 80s, or 90s, self-discovery is possible. The human spirit is endlessly capable of growth. You can still learn, still create, still dream. In fact, it may be in these years of freedom, when you stand single and whole, that you discover the truest version of yourself. Number 4, financial independence and security. Money may not buy happiness, but financial security can buy peace, and peace is priceless as you grow older. One of the most overlooked advantages of being single in later life is financial independence. Partnerships often mean shared bank accounts, shared debts, shared expenses, and shared obligations. And while that can sometimes provide comfort, it can also lead to financial stress, especially when one partner is irresponsible, demanding, or dependent. For seniors, this stress can be devastating. Retirement savings are limited, medical costs rise, and stability becomes the most important factor. Being single allows you to protect what you've worked for without fear of someone else draining your resources or pulling you into debt. You can budget according to your needs, spend on what matters to you, and save for the future with clarity and control. You don't have to argue about money, explain your spending, or compromise on financial priorities. If you want to invest in your health, your hobbies, or your grandchildren, you do it without hesitation. If you choose to live simply, you do so without criticism. If you decide to travel or move, there's no one holding you back. This financial independence also brings dignity. Too many elders, especially in America, find themselves tied to unhealthy relationships out of financial necessity. They stay with partners who mistreat them because they fear losing financial support. But when you are single and in control of your own resources, you never have to trade respect for security. You are free to live on your terms. And here's another truth. Generosity feels sweeter when it is freely chosen, not demanded. As a single senior, you can give where your heart calls you to charities, churches, communities, or family, without someone else questioning your decisions. Your money becomes not just survival but legacy, a reflection of what you value most. In a culture where aging often brings financial anxiety, singleness can be a shield. It protects your stability, it gives you control, and it ensures that your later years are spent in dignity, not dependency. It reminds you that the resources you worked for belong to you, and you alone have the wisdom to decide how to use them. Number 5. Stronger social connections outside romance. There is a great misconception in our culture that love must always mean romance. But anyone who has lived long enough knows that love wears many faces. It is in the laughter of friends around a dinner table, the warm hug of a grandchild, the kindness of a neighbor who checks in on you, the fellowship of a church community, and the loyal bond of a lifelong friend. When you are single as you age, you often invest more deeply in these connections. You are no longer consumed with the ups and downs of a partner's moods or the daily compromises of a relationship. Instead, your heart and your energy are freed to nurture the bonds that truly bring joy and stability. For many American seniors, this means reconnecting with children and grandchildren in meaningful ways. It means having the time to volunteer at local shelters, libraries, or churches where companionship blooms naturally. It means forming friendships with peers who understand your journey, who sit beside you without judgment, and who make you feel less alone simply by being present. Romantic love can be powerful, but it is not the only kind of love worth having. In fact, studies show that seniors who cultivate strong social networks live longer, healthier lives. The friendships you and the community you surround yourself with often provide more consistent support than one partner ever could. A partner may leave, disappoint, or fail to understand, but friends, family, and community can hold you in ways that romance never fully will. And here is something you learn with age. Friendships are chosen family. They don't demand you sacrifice your peace or compromise your identity. They allow you to come as you. Being single gives you the freedom to pour into these relationships fully, without the weight of a partner's jealousy or control. So instead of chasing romance that may not bring peace, many seniors discover that the richest joy comes from a circle of people who truly care. It's not about having one person, it's about having the right people. And when you walk into your later years single, you have more space to welcome them in. Number 6. Health and longevity through stress reduction. As the years pile up, your health becomes one of your greatest treasures. No amount of wealth, no possession, no fleeting romance compares to the blessing of waking up pain-free, sleeping soundly, and breathing deeply. Yet what many don't realize is how profoundly relationships affect health, especially stressful ones. Conflict, resentment, and constant arguments do not just wound the heart, they wound the body. Stress raises blood pressure, weakens the immune system, disrupts sleep, and accelerates the aging process. Living in a partnership that drains you can literally shorten your life. And the sad truth is that many seniors remain in unhealthy relationships out of fear of loneliness, trading years of vitality for companionship that doesn't bring peace. Being single, on the other hand, often protects your health. When you live without constant conflict, your body finds balance. Your heart beats steadier. Your mind rests easier. Your immune system strengthens. You have time and space to focus on exercise, nutrition, and rest without having to drag someone else along or endure their criticism when you try to change your habits. Many single seniors report sleeping better, eating healthier, and maintaining more consistent routines than those entangled in unhappy partnerships. Stress is replaced by calm. Anxiety is replaced by clarity. The absence of conflict becomes a form of medicine that no doctor can prescribe. And here's another gift. When you are single, you are more likely to prioritize your own health. You go to the doctor when you need to. You schedule time for walks, for stretching, for yoga, for prayer. You listen to your body instead of silencing it to care for someone else's demands. Longevity is not about having someone beside you. It's about living in a way that brings peace to your spirit and health to your body. And often that means stepping away from relationships that steal your strength. Singleness in later life is not a sentence. It is salvation. It is a chance to live longer, healthier, and more peacefully, savoring each day with a lightness that stress could never give. Number 7. Freedom to leave a legacy on your own terms. As you age, you begin to see life differently. You no longer measure your days by how much you can accumulate or how high you can climb, but by the imprint you will leave behind. Legacy becomes more important than possession. What matters is not how many things you own, but how many lives you touch. And here is where being single becomes a profound blessing. You are free to shape your legacy on your own terms. You are not bound to fulfill someone else's vision or tied to compromises that dilute your dreams. Instead, Your later years can be spent focusing on what truly matters to you: your faith, your family, your community, your passions. For many seniors in America, this means dedicating time and energy to grandchildren, passing down traditions, wisdom, and stories that would otherwise be lost. It means leaving behind not just money, but memories and lessons that guide future generations. For others, it might mean pouring into community service, writing a memoir, starting a foundation, or mentoring the younger ones who look up to you. When you are single, your energy is not consumed by trying to keep a strained partnership alive. Instead, it flows into the things that bring meaning and fulfillment. You are free to make decisions about your estate, your possessions, and your time without interference. You decide what values will live on after you, what stories will be remembered, and what kind of mark you want to leave. And perhaps most importantly, you leave behind the example of courage. Courage to stand alone when needed. Courage to choose peace over chaos. Courage to live authentically without apology. That too is a legacy. One that speaks louder than words and shows future generations that strength is not found in clinging to someone else, but in standing tall in your own truth. Legacy is not about being remembered by many, it is about being remembered well. And when you are single in your later years, you hold the pen. You decide how the final chapters of your story will be written, and you decide what kind of light you will pass on to the world. Conclusion: the power of choosing singleness in later life. In a world that constantly tells us we must find the one, it takes strength, wisdom, and clarity to choose yourself instead. But as you age, the truth becomes harder to deny. Peace is more valuable than partnership, dignity is more precious than compromise, and freedom is more healing than forced companionship. Being single in your later years does not mean being unloved. It does not mean being forgotten. It does not mean being less than. It means you have the courage to embrace life as it comes, to walk in your own rhythm, and to claim the joy that belongs to you without apology. It means your mornings are calm, your days are yours, and your nights are filled with quiet gratitude instead of conflict. This choice is not about bitterness, it is about wisdom. It is about recognizing that after a lifetime of giving, you are allowed to receive. After decades of compromise, you are allowed to stand free. After years of carrying others, you are allowed to rest in peace that is entirely your own. For seniors across America, this truth is liberating. It gives permission to let go of what drains and hold fast to what heals. It reminds you that solitude is not loneliness. It is a sacred space where you meet yourself, and often where you meet God. So if you are walking into your later years single, do not see it as a curse. See it as a crown of freedom, of wisdom, of peace. You are not incomplete. You are not lacking. You are whole, powerful, and worthy of every good thing life still has to give. The final chapters of your life story are yours alone to write. Write them with courage. Write them with joy. Write them with the kind of love that begins within yourself and spills out into the world. Because in the end, it is better, far better, to be single and free than bound and broken.